not so young kids, buy your kids a condo now. Buy a condo now for your kids, because I want my kids gone. Seriously.
Good idea.
You know, I have a condo in Laguna Niguel. They will be moving in there, so, you know, as soon as they turn 18. If I can't ship them off to the military, which is really my plan. So we talk about that. We talk about when our kids are gone all the time. Like, what are we going to do when the kids are gone? You know, and, you know, some people are really sad about it.
Why are you looking at me?
And maybe I will be. I don't know. But right now, I think I'm counting down the years, you know. I got 3 years, 6 months, and 5 weeks and 3 days. You know, I love my kids. I just want them to grow up. So we talk about that all the time. We talk about, like, someday. You know, someday when the kids are grown, all the vacations we can take. And someday, you know, when we can not spend every weekend at the softball field or the football field. Someday. And how many of you guys have talked about that? You know, said, you know, someday when my ship comes in, someday when I have more money, or even in real estate, someday when I have more experience, someday when I understand the market better, someday when I break into this farm. How many of you guys have said that? You know, someday. Someday. And I think that what I've found out, and I think a lot of us have found out, is that someday really doesn't exist. There is no someday. There's only today. And tomorrow is just another today. And the day after that is another today. And we need to make our some days today. Because we have everything we need. You know, we can do our little mini, you know, weekends during the week. You know, we have everything we need to make our someday today. And I think if we keep thinking about this magical day instead of living it right now, it makes our lives, you know, not as fun as it could be, or we don't work as hard as we could, or we don't do the things we know we should. So I think we really need to realize that today is our someday. And another thing we need to realize, there's no ship. Waiting for your ship to come in, there's no ship. Sorry. You know, your someday is today and there's no ship. And I think that some of us can't see that, and I think it's because we're always looking for that big break, that quantum leap, that someday. We're constantly looking for it. We're looking for that winning lottery ticket. And I think especially, you know, in the younger generations, you know, when I talk to my kids, they're always saying, you know, I say, what are you going to do when you grow up? Oh, I'm going to make an app, you know, and then become rich. I'm going to play in the NBA and become rich. I'm going to win the lottery. One actually told me, I'm going to play the lottery, Mom. That's what I'm going to do, so I can become rich. And I try so hard to teach them that that's just not reality. But they don't understand that's not reality because our society has become such a get rich quick, the big break kind of society. And I did some research on it because I feel like we live in the culture of the big break. And I looked at people that we think had their big break. So I looked at Bill Gates, who invented Microsoft in 1975. It was 6 years before he got his first contract with IBM. And then it was another 5 years after that before Microsoft actually had their initial public offering. So his overnight success took 11 years. You know, it wasn't overnight. And Steve Jobs, he's like a great example because he founded Apple in 1976. And it was a struggling computer company. And then he got fired from Apple, or he left, whichever way you want to say. And then Apple, in the 90s, barely made a profit and barely survived the 90s and didn't actually come back until they decided we're getting out of personal computing and we're getting into the iPod, iPhone, iPad, and then that's when they really made it big. That was 20 years later. 20 years later. It wasn't an overnight success. And you look at Snapchat, because that's probably the most overnight success we've seen, the people that invented Snapchat. It still took them 2 years to get their investors to invest in Snapchat. And then right after their investors invested in it, and people saw the money that they were getting, they were entered into a big lawsuit with somebody who said they were on the team that invented Snapchat. So, nothing's overnight. Nothing's just instant. And I think instead of celebrating the overnight successes that we tend to look at, we need to celebrate the little successes. Not the big breaks, but the little breaks. The incremental success. It's getting your first listing in your farm. That's something to celebrate. It's having your first year in real estate where you're above the poverty level. That's something to celebrate. Having your year in real estate where you actually put some money away and you save money. That's something to celebrate. And then, before you know it, you're getting taxed at 39%. And believe it or not, even though I used to hate that, that's something to celebrate. So, looking at these little ways to celebrate your small successes. And when we succeed and we become successful, we capture our farm, we capture market share, not to rest on that. Making sure that you're constantly looking for ways to be better. Because success, it's not overnight success, it's a constant battle for success. Things change. Somebody comes into your market. The government passes a new law that changes the way we operate, like with TRID. There's so many things that are changing in the industry. So when we do get there, we can't rest on it. And the one thing that inspires me about you guys as agents is you're always looking for a way to be a better agent to your clients. And it makes me want to always look for a way to be a better company for my agents. And I love that about what we've built here, because I feel like we built this here. And I'm always looking for ways to make this better, our marketing department. Because every day when I sit at my desk, I think, how can I make this better? What can I do to make your lives easier and make it better? And that's what we need to be thinking about as agents. What can I do to make my business better? We're always growing, we're always changing. And the cool thing about building this together is we can look to the future and say, how are we going to look in the future? How are we going to look as agents? What's our bargaining position? What's our competitive advantage? And what I want to commit to for 2016 is to make our someday today. I want to celebrate our successes. I want us to strive to make each day better than our last. And I want to take this time right now to recognize the people, our staff, because we are a team and we work so hard to help each other out. I love that about our company. And we couldn't do that without such an amazing staff. So I want to have our staff people stand up. Karen Davidson. Our newest staff member, Terry Valentine. Natalie Harrington. Becky Davis. Our amazing managers from our San Clemente office, Doug and Janet Montiel. And our amazing manager from our Mission Viejo office, Andrea. And our escrow officers couldn't be here because they're so busy. Thank God, because February was not, fun. So I'm really happy. I think 2016 is going to be a great year. So I want to take this time to recognize our award winners for 2015 and the people that have worked so hard to build their business, to support their clients, to be amazing realtors, and to be great parts of Star Real Estate. So I'm going to